Hey guys, it's Austin again with Northwest Registered Agent. I'm here today with Clayton. Clayton, thank you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Today, we are going to be talking about registering your band as a business. We'll talk about the advantages as well as the process. So Clayton, I had a client reach out to us. They're in a band and they want to form a business. What should I tell them?
First off, that's so cool. So if they're in a band and they're already making money, they're actually already a business. So they would be considered a sole proprietorship or a partnership, depending on how many members were in the band. But if they wanted to be legit and get it registered with the state, then there are really two options. They would either do an LLC, a limited liability company, or they could do a corporation. Corporations require a little bit more maintenance, and so most of the time people choose an LLC for that kind of thing.
Okay, so if the band does decide to go down the route of forming an LLC, can you give us some benefits to doing that?
Yeah, so the biggest benefit for an LLC is going to be if they were to get sued and for maybe having a song that's too close to somebody else's or something like that, then the individual band members, their personal assets would be better protected since the band is under a company.
Okay, that makes sense.
Another really cool thing about having an LLC is it can make it a little bit easier to get a record deal because the paperwork you'd have to include to register would have to say who owns what assets in the company or the band, right? What the members are responsible for the company. It can also make it easier to do business-to-business agreements like leasing equipment or booking a haul out for an event. And then depending on what you and your accountant decide, it could also have some tax benefits as well.
So if the band does decide to go down the route of forming an LLC, where would they start?
Yeah, so it would be like starting any other LLC. The process varies a little bit by state, but the first things that you'd want to do would be to get a registered agent and then to select a business name.
Are they able to use the band name?
Totally. The first thing you'd want to do, though, is just make sure that there isn't a business that already exists in the state that's using the same name.
Okay.
And another thing to know is that they would have to add LLC after it to register with the state.
Okay, so after they've decided what business name they want, what would be the next steps after that?
Yeah, so they would have to file registration paperwork with the state, pay any fees associated with that. Then they would need to contact the IRS. Get an EIN or a tax ID number. Then they would want to draft an operating agreement, and that really goes over the roles and responsibilities for the members of the company. Following that, then they would want to look into getting a business bank account so they can cash those checks. Yeah. If they have any questions or concerns, they can contact Northwest Registered Agent. We're more than happy to help.
Okay, awesome. So today, we learned that there are a few different entity types to choose from if you're registering your band as a business. We spoke about sole proprietorships and partnerships, LLCs, and corporations. But we focused on the benefits of forming as an LLC, which includes liability protection, added appeal for record labels, ease of equipment leasing, as well as certain tax benefits. Finally, we went over the basics of forming an LLC, including choosing a name, appointing a registered agent, filing formation papers, paying state fees, obtaining an EIN, drafting an operating agreement, and opening a business bank account. Clayton, thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me, Austin.
If you have any questions, leave it in the comments. State paperwork is hard, we can help. If you found this video helpful, give it a like. You can find the links to what we've discussed in the description below, and we've also picked out 2 other videos you might find useful. You need tools to build something big? Subscribe now.